Hi, and welcome to Chat Central. Little India, Big Business. This is a documentary that has been the talk of the town for the last couple of weeks. It gives us a glimpse into the extravagant South Asian weddings and talks to some of the renowned industry vendors about the business of weddings. Today, we talk to the woman behind this documentary who has been a journalist over the last 10 years and has worked with some major news networks. Please welcome BAL Bracch. Hi Bal, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. So Bal, before we get into this whole documentary and the idea behind it, we do want to ask a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background as well.
I've been a reporter for over 10 years. I worked in Ottawa, Calgary, Vancouver, for CTV, Global, and CBC. And over the last few years, I've kind of had some ideas to do some projects on my own. So I've sort of created this little part of my life now where I can sort of freelance. I had a staff job at CBC, then I quit. I took a year off in 2012, and I just sort of focused on what kind of stories do I really want to tell. Because I was doing the daily news, like 2-minute stories about crime, politics, anything that's happening. But there were other stories that I needed to tell as I started in my 30s now, and I thought there are some more important stories I want to tell. So
Absolutely.
I took this year off, and this is where the idea for the documentary came.
Amazing. So obviously you feel strongly about the topic, and that's how the idea triggered in your mind. So when we do talk about this documentary, Little India, Big Business, what was the essential idea behind making a documentary like this?
Well, I wanted to first look at why was I so reluctant to get married. I'm Indian, my husband's Indian. At the time, 3 years ago when this started, we were just dating and did not want to get married. My parents obviously like, hurry up, when are you going to get married? Waiting for it on both sides of the family.
Parents, yeah.
They're all waiting, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to. And then when I started to realize, you know what, I do want to make that commitment. I do want to celebrate it, but I don't want the big Indian wedding because we're both very private, shy people. And you know, I sometimes in life
Did you have a big Indian wedding?
No, so I ended up having a small one, but it all happened through the process of this documentary. And as I started looking into the industry, and I thought, there's some great success stories. There's a huge story here. No one's covering the story. Plus, I wanted to see, is there anybody like me that's trying to do it differently and trying to find some meaning? Because sometimes you might just assume that when there's a 1,000-person wedding, it's not intimate, it's not meaningful.
Absolutely.
But so I started to challenge myself, and then as I did the doc, I was really surprised at what I found.
That's amazing, because this is a topic that everyone can relate to too.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like everybody does get married, so and especially in Indians, we do like the extravagant big weddings. And so when we talk about this documentary, I know there's different perspectives around it, and there's one perspective that it actually rooted in the culture.
Yes.
Like the big celebrations and having parties for all week long and treating your guest right and just making it about this whole family's getting together and big celebrations and big parties. And there's another perspective where people are like, it's just a ceremony. Like it is a big ceremony, but it's just about the guy and the girl getting together, like you said, and having this intimate ceremony. So what do you think is sort of out there, and what do you think is kind of getting like understated?
I think when you think of like the Western wedding couples, it's always about the bride and groom. All my friends who aren't Indian, it always ends up being about the bride and groom, what they want, who they want, and the wedding is really focused on them. But growing up in the Punjabi culture especially, the wedding is never just about the couple. You know, it's about the families, and the planner in the documentary, Harpreet Patel, did say when Indian families gets married, it's about the couple and the family coming together, not just the two people. So it's a marriage of two families. So that I think is really unique about our culture. But I was born and raised in Vancouver. My parents are from Punjab, and so are my in-laws, and so we had to find a way to mix both cultures. And then I realized I'm not the only person going through this. You want to keep the parents happy, but you also want to be happy yourself. So
Absolutely.
how do you find that balance? And it's not like you don't want to do what your culture wants, because I love a good party.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a nice, fun reception, but 1,000 people is a lot of pressure sometimes, and especially on a bride, there's so much pressure. 5 days of events, the eyes are on her. So I wanted to take that pressure off myself, and as I went through the documentary, I found that I wasn't the only bride.
Exactly, there's so many you can relate to it. It's funny because you brought that word pressure, and a lot of couples do feel the pressure. Like as much as they want to celebrate and want a big wedding, it does come down, it does affect it. And to a point where even the documentary is they have addressed this issue, that sometimes it strains the actual relationship where they're recovering from the cost that has been spent. Now, is this something that needs to be addressed as well, you think?
That was so interesting. I was surprised to find that as I talked to more people in the community, whether it's Arv Grewal, the counselor, or Balraj Dillon, the marriage commissioner, and he does weddings, and they both said they've tried to bring some of these conversations into the gurdwaras, where a lot of these weddings are happening, or the temples, and there's been some reluctance. And I just think, wow, why would there be that reluctance? And sometimes I think it's a lack of understanding, right? The temples might think, oh, premarital counseling, why do we want that?
Exactly.
Is it going to stop people from getting married? So I think there's a level of education that needs to happen.
Absolutely.
And I think these conversations start at home. So part of why I thought this documentary might sort of start the conversation within the family.
Best way of starting a dialogue, and bringing awareness and like what's important, what's necessary, and if you really want a big party, by all means, right?
And that's the thing. I don't think I wanted anyone to think, oh my God, Indian weddings, we shouldn't do it, because everyone loves these things. But
it's colorful,
sometimes it's like, make
yeah.
sure you're doing it for the right reasons.
Right
and also,
reasons.
I had heard some stories that I didn't put in the documentary because I couldn't convince people to go on camera. But some people that had borrowed money from their union or their pension or from their savings or mortgage their home just to pay for those weddings.
Yeah.
And they're happy to do it because the parents say it's our duty. But I felt kind of guilty as somebody who was, getting married herself, and I didn't want to use my parents' money or put that pressure on them. So I know that I'm not alone in that. And it's not that if you have a big wedding, we should look down upon those people. No, because it's their choice.
It is a choice.
But I think there's a lot more room for everyone to have a choice.
And some people actually dream about this big day since childhood. Like
Exactly.
Some of the girls, they look up to this whole idea of being the bride, and so it's only fair that they actually celebrate it.
And if
do
you
it the
grow
right
up
way.
watching a Bollywood movie, you fetishize
probably want it, yeah,
right? It's
exactly.
like, this is what our culture is. It's big and it's loud and it's proud, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I think that's why a lot of people that aren't Indian were attracted to this film as well. They just
Absolutely.
thought, I've always wanted to go to an Indian wedding, or I went to one last week, and there's so much love in those families. So part of my intention was to show and help me understand that draw to my own culture too, is that at the end of it, it all comes down to
It all
family,
comes down to
and
family
the money
and the
becomes a
positivity.
secondary thing.
Exactly. Now, there was another perspective to how much the Indian weddings support the economy. Because there's so many businesses out there, like catering and clothing and makeup, like all the businesses that are supported by
huge
just the
business.
wedding industry. So think about all these businesses getting a hit if the weddings business was to slow down or get smaller. You know what I mean?
I don't think it would ever slow down. To
I
be
know.
honest, there's enough people that
Yeah.
are willing to spend money, and these people are booked years in advance. So I don't think that this film could, have that type of impact, and that was never the intention. I just wanted to highlight some of these people, such great success stories. So many of the messages I got were from people saying, "I'm so glad. I've never seen so many South Asian successful females on one screen at a time." And I just thought,
Exactly.
I didn't even think about that while I was doing it. I just wanted to highlight these success stories. They happen to be South Asian, and a lot of them happen to be female, but I just thought it's about time we started celebrating some of these
Absolutely.
stories, or whether it's
Absolutely.
Dave Singh, who came from India as an immigrant. So many
And look
people
at
can
where he is
relate to
now.
that story
Yeah.
now, and look at how well he's done. So I think we should celebrate a lot of these success
And
stories.
it's also a story of hard work and how much effort you put into it. It is a wedding business, it is a big business or big industry, but it also comes from the hard work and the sincerity and the effort you put in. Now, in the documentary, it also sort of talks about the actual meaning of marriage and having all these ceremonies and parties, whether it's taking it away from the actual meaning of marriage. So I really like that, because at the end of the day, the reason why you're getting married, the reason why it's happening, it's because the two people have agreed to be together for the rest of their lives. So it's very necessary to look at that, and the documentary talks about it, which is very, very, very important. So what do you think about that?
I was so fascinated by it when I talked to Bill Age, and just the conversations he has. And he's like, sometimes couples will come to me and I ask them, why are you getting married? And they don't know why. I was shocked. I mean, obviously, I've got a little bit of different route the way I got here. I lived with my partner before we were married, so it was, I'm sure in some families that might be a bit controversial, but we really knew each other.
Yeah.
We were best friends. Our families became friends over the years. So by the time we got to the wedding, it was a true celebration.
Yeah.
That's not the way I'm sure every family
Yeah.
wants to go about it.
It's
a
a
lot of
different
people are
journey for
really
everybody.
traditional, right? They want to live with the person after they get
Yeah.
married, but that idea of really knowing, hey, why am I doing this? What is my reason for this? I just want young people to start asking themselves those questions, because across Canada, whether you're Indian or not, the divorce rate hovers around 49%.
Absolutely, which is
so almost
more,
half
yeah.
of everyone that's going to get married is going to get divorced. I don't know, would you put your money on that if you're going to Vegas? If you're betting on something, I wouldn't want to bet on something where
Exactly.
there's 50% chance of it not
Of not
going
making
well.
it work, yeah.
So I just thought if there's some more preparation, why wouldn't somebody in our community want to do some of that stuff? And I just love that idea. I don't know how far that can travel and how widely people will maybe use some of these premarital
No, this is a
courses,
great
but
way of starting or educating the younger crowd or younger couples who are looking into getting married and looking into the essential reason. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you want to do it? Having the parties is great, but look at why do you want to do it, and do you have the reasons right reasons for doing it.
Because a lot of the times our parents will say, oh, you say you come home, you have a boyfriend or girlfriend. Okay, great. So when's the wedding?
Yeah.
This is what they start. But they don't ask, oh, what's this person like? And,
Yeah.
and so why do you want to
And are
marry
you
this
ready?
person? Are you ready?
Biggest thing.
Like how many parents are having these conversations? And I think we need to start having those. So sometimes there's not those problems after, because I'm sure you know, we all know at least 3-4 people that have probably been divorced
Yeah.
a few months, few years after they get married. And some of those are warranted that, you know, this doesn't work out. But if you do the preparation beforehand, it'll make
It
it
saves you
easier.
a lot of time and energy and
It'll save
effort
you
and
so much.
heartache and all that. No, for sure. We're so proud of you for doing this and
thank
bringing
you.
this topic into an awareness into our community and starting a conversation.
That's
really.
what I wanted to do.
So,
I'm
yeah.
so happy people are reacting, and the reaction I've gotten so far is mostly positive. Everyone's like, oh, about time someone's talking about these things. Because we're all talking about them at our dinner table.
Yeah.
It's just now we're having the conversation on a bigger scale.
Which is what it's needed too. Well, thank you so much. And also, before we let you go, if our audiences do want to take a look at the documentary, where can they find it?
On Facebook, you can find Little India Big Business, or on Instagram, and the link is there. It's LibTV, LIBB-TV, or Little India Big Business.
So do you have? Should we expect more of these to come?
That's what
forward?
I've got lots of ideas, but this took a lot out of me. When you're so dedicated, I think, and committed to something, it takes over your life. So
It does.
Gonna take a bit of a break, and then I've got some other ideas, and then just gotta find a way to get them done as well.
And I'm pretty sure the feedback will keep coming in, because this is starting to hit, like, a lot of people still haven't watched it, that they're going to
Yeah.
watch, and you'll get like all kinds of feedbacks. and
All the
stuff.
vendors are saying, all of our fans across the world. I've got emails from Chicago, New York, India, LA. Like, people want to see it in the UK, and now I've got to find a way to get it out to everyone.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations once again.
Thank
And
you.
thank you so much for being on DARPAN's Chat Central.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bal. Thanks for watching Chat Central.